This interview is for information only and should not be considered as investment advice or a recommendation to buy shares in the company featured. Welcome to this Stock Box interview.
Joining us today is Jason Brewer, the CEO of Marula Mining. Thank you very much for joining us again, Jason. Lots of things have been happening across all the projects on the company, so I want to just really get a snapshot of where things are across all of the projects. But first of all, how are you doing? You had a suit on before we started this. You said there's some meetings going on. Is it very busy over where you are?
Yes, look, there's a lot happening in Kenya actually this month and going into June as well. There's a big Africa Investment Conference, which is the third one held here in Kenya. Okay. So a lot of interest in Kenya's position in Africa as a major finance hub and a major infrastructure hub feeding the continent. So yes, a lot of interest there. And then some government related conferences as well, and one particularly on mining. So yes, I actually have to put a suit on, get away from my desk and get out there and, press the flesh and really push what we're doing here with Marula.
Okay, excellent. Okay, good. Well, let's start with Blesberg then, of course, the lithium project. What's going on right now? Give us a snapshot of where things are and the latest developments at Blesberg.
Absolutely. Look, as people know, we're currently reprocessing the stockpiles there, which have been the result of over 80 years of intermittent mining. When the pegmatite was really focused on its tantalite mineralization and not lithium. So we're reprocessing about 250,000 tons of stockpiled material and extracting the spodumene from that. Just this month, we received brand new equipment from Bell Equipment in South Africa, and that was done through our partnership with QGC Holdings, the major mining and investment fund in South Africa. They are now very active on site, and our production rates on the processing and movement of those stockpiles is taking place. So that's a fantastic win for us, and we'll certainly see the benefits of that in June and in the rest of this year. On top of that, obviously, we're moving that material so we can get the resource drilling done on the pegmatites, the Numus 1 and Numus 2, which are the two ones which are certainly exposed there. That's going to allow us to move very quickly into the hard rock mining, establishing a very conventional open pit lithium mining operation. So that work is ongoing. So we're moving the stockpiles to allow us to get the drill pads in for the resource drilling. On the processing side, we're pushing ahead on two fronts. We've got test work that's been going on in Germany and in Johannesburg with additional sorters, basically to increase the recoveries, the efficiencies, and the production rates of the actual spodumene that we're getting out of those stockpiles material. So we've actually got people in Johannesburg today going through actual tests on how efficient that process is. So we're very positive on that. And on the other side, there is the value add that we're looking at, producing a lithium carbonate. The product that's getting 10 times plus the sales price of what you'd get for a spodumene. And that's something where we're getting independent verification on the carbonate that's already been produced from the Blesberg material, and also independent verification on that process. That is both economically, it stacks up, so we're busy pushing ahead on that. So Blesberg, a lot happening both on mining, processing, and also in there as well to allow us to move into that hard rock mining. We're going through the regulatory process, getting in place the necessary permits to move away from a reprocessing of stockpiles to that hard rock operation. And our general manager of operations there is working with the DMRE in South Africa in the Northern Cape region to basically allow us to move forward there. So a tremendous amount of activity at Blesberg, and it's great to see. It certainly is.
Okay, so just on the stockpiles then, and actually getting some sales here. You've talked before about selling at Minegate. Are you in a position to be selling now then?
Yes, I was in South Africa last week, as many of our investors and shareholders will know. One of the meetings was with SMP, and basically it's making those arrangements for the material which is already stockpiled there, banked there, to now have its final test work, the final assays, and for that material to be delivered.
So you need to determine the price off of the assays, and then you can determine the price to sell it at.
No, we've got the price. It's basically making sure that we've met the minimum threshold grade, which was, I think, 5% Li2O. And clearly we were very confident of that. And some of the material we've been getting has been running 7-8%. So we want to make sure that the sampling procedures are representative, because at the moment we have bagged and ready for sale is a lump product. So the variability between the different types of lithium ore, the spodumene at Blesberg, is quite significant. You've got some which is grading 2%, some which is grading 8%. We want to make sure that the assay work which is completed, is truly representative of what we've got. And there's been a lot of work over a number of months to make sure that that's the case.
Okay. And as soon as that's determined, then you can effectively start raising invoices, I guess.
As soon as that's ready, we've got trucks that are going to be there. I mean, one of the things we've been dealing with QGC, because this is still a very high value product, remember, is making sure that we've got the security procedures, weigh gates and so on in place to make sure that certainly as we're going to be ramping up production quite considerably and quite quickly, that we've got those procedures, the storage facilities in place. So I'm certainly expecting over the balance of this year, the actual site infrastructure to increase quite dramatically. And that'll be noticeable for all to see. And we'll certainly be putting out pictures as the operations on site and infrastructure there increases.
Okay, fantastic. I want to just pick up on something you said about perhaps getting into lithium carbonate. Is that correct? Do you want to actually look to get into actually providing the actual end product potentially here?
Yeah, whether it's the end product, it's a more intermediate product, as you know.
Okay.
So in our quarterly report, we actually put out, within the quarterly report, we made it very clear that we've already had samples go through to Johannesburg and go through a process and produce a lithium carbonate. So that process has been demonstrated to be feasible and possible. What we're doing now is basically going to get the independent verification on the product that's been produced. We want to make sure that it is a saleable product, it is of the necessary grade and so on. And also just to get the final checks on that process as well. So, it's been going through a small pilot plant there in Joburg. We now need to make sure that the scalability of that is there. And in our announcements there, we were looking initially to do 20 to 25 tons per month of the carbonate there. And then I know we were going to be increasing that by a factor of 10, moving up between 5 and 10, I should say, moving up to about 1,000 tons of that per annum. So, your carbonate prices at the moment, Mark, as you probably know, about what, 40,000 perhaps? I know they've come off a little bit, assuming 40,000. So just on the stockpile operation alone, that's kind of annual carbonate revenues there of about 40 million per annum. So a nice little cash generator for a stockpile retreatment process.
So you're exploring that now, and we can wait and see the results of if you're going to go down that route.
Yeah, those results we're expecting to be received in June, because we want to get that initial 20-25 ton per month production capacity in place as soon as possible. Whilst that's going on as well, we'll still be producing the spodumene from Blesberg will be feeding into that plant, but there's going to be excess spodumene, which we will then look as well to continue to make sales of spodumene ore into the market.
Okay.
The decision to go the carbonate route is one of adding value, not just here in South Africa, or not just in South Africa, but elsewhere within Africa, where, you've seen it in Zimbabwe, where you were obviously visiting Prem's operation there. There's a ban on some of the direct exports of spodumene ore. So you want to be into a position where you're actually adding value and getting a much more processed, refined product. So we get it right in South Africa, the opportunity to take that, not just into Zimbabwe, but into Zambia, into Tanzania and elsewhere in Africa, really adds a significant opportunity for us. Okay.
Great. Well, thank you for that. That's a good update on Blesberg. So moving on to Kinusi now, of course, your copper project. What's going on here at the moment?
Small-scale mining activities are underway there. We have a meeting in Joburg next week with additional equipment to head up to Tanzania, to the Kinusi mine site. So those mining activities are going to be intensified across primarily the one license, the one of the 10 primary mine licenses that we have. So we had a number of site visits in May, as you're aware, to go up there and basically do more planning for that. So that's well underway and well advanced. So mining activities of the shallow, high-grade copper mineralization to intensify. We've had our team in South Africa just yesterday finalize the process plant, the initial small processing plant that we're looking to establish up on site. So we're expecting some updates that add on that in the next 5 to 10 days. We have the company there that is going to commence manufacturing of that, and we will get it up to site as quickly as possible. Okay. On top of that, what we've had the benefit when we were last on site, we met with the local community, the local village, the elders, and we have reached agreement for a new location for the plant, which is closer to power, closer to water, and to the main access route through to the port of Durban. So that is a new dedicated site for the processing plant, our administrative offices and so on. So we're finalizing the agreement there, but that'll be in place over the course of June. So some fantastic work there. And of course, what we've done is we've got samples and in with SGS and in with another assay group for the full suite of analysis, both on the copper, the gold, the nickel, the other associated minerals within the ores that we've seen at Kinusi. So we're expecting results from that relatively soon. And that's going to help us finalize and optimize the processing, but also the initial and short-term offtake discussions with those trading groups that are out of Europe, one of which was on site with me just the other week. So that's been very positive. So Kinusi's looking mighty fine. And we're expecting towards the end of the third quarter to be processing ores up there and making sales. So Kinusi has really been a fast-tracked project, and it's one which I like. It's always good when you can go there and you can see actual high-grade mineralization. You know, I've got a lump of it here, literally on my desk. So I'm always reminded of Kinusi. You know, that's the great thing about it. It's there, it's in your face. So there's no denying it. And I think that's going to surprise many. The drilling at Kinusi is going to commence early in the next quarter. So we've fully funded that drill program and that exploration program. So that will really give us a better understanding of the true extent of that copper mineralization. And of course, we have geofields on site now, mapping and sampling, trenching, not just across the main one license we've only been focused on, but across the full suite of the 10 licenses. Sure. So we'll get some of those results out fairly quickly as well, which I'm certainly looking forward to.
Okay, good. Thank you for that. Can we have a look at that rock again, briefly? What is it we can see there? There's lots of blue and sort of green as well. Do you know what that is?
Yeah, so the malachites. So in here, you've got the malachite, which is the green, and the azurite, which is the blue. So this is grading anywhere between 30 and 50% copper.
Okay, right.
You know, and this is literally, you know, within a couple of meters of surface. And you've got across the one main license, which has got our attention, certainly, you've got now over 30 small pits, and exposures. On the main level, we've really opened it up now, and you've got a strike there of about 500 meters. And it's open. So I think when we had one of the trading groups on site, you know, when literally we pulled up in the car, turned the corner, and they could see it, they were just blown away. So, you know, those first impressions always count with me. As you would have seen when you went to Zim and Prem, that first impression just that sets the thing in your mind.
Yeah, absolutely.
And they were asking if they could take some samples back to their offices in Switzerland so they could show it to their friends. So I mean, that to me sums it up. The fact that it was good there. So we said, take some. We'll get our pound of flesh off you later. So yeah.
Great, thank you for that. So Nyorinyori then, and of course Bagamoyo is all we want to cover. So just give us again an update on Nyorinyori first of all.
Yeah, Nyorinyori is basically, if you're talking order of priorities for our projects, Blesberg's gold medal position for sure. Kinusi's a silver, but you're probably getting a bit of a photo finish now with them. And Nyorinyori's really come. It's that, I don't know if you're a horse racing guy, Mark, but it's that horse which has come from the back of the field, and all of a sudden it's right up there in a placing. I think when we got out there and saw Nyorinyori and the real, what looked like almost 100% graphite content in this vein, really blew my mind. Really blew my mind, and it's really been pushed forward now. So Nyorinyori, we've got a lot of samples which are in with SGS, and that sample is going to give us total graphite content, it's going to give us grade, and it's going to give us flake size. And clearly from our visual observations, the total graphite content is about as high as you can possibly get. Grade obviously will follow on the back of that. But the big attraction of Nyorinyori was the flake sizes that we're able to see there. And what we're looking at doing is effectively really getting in there quickly with geophields to do that mapping, sampling across the 10 licenses that we've got there. And also we've got an additional 25 licenses, adjoining licenses, which we've got the opportunity to look at and see if we want as well. Interestingly, on one of those licenses, the owner of that license recently shipped, I think, 20 tons of material, direct shipping. So there was no processing of that material. 20 tons of that material he shipped through Dar, and went to India, and he received $36,000. So you can do your maths on that. 36 divided by 12, what is that? 18. 1,800 a ton. Is that right? Yeah. It's just for a material which they had at surface on a primary mining license, small scale mining license, and exported. We've received all the documentation on that. So that is almost identical mineralization to what we've got. So we're very keen to obviously look at what he's got as it's an adjoining license, and look at how we can expand our footprint there at Nyorinyori and move that very quickly into a development stroke production stage. There's a lot of work we've got to do, and we'll do that on an accelerated basis. But we're very keen to see how quickly we can move that forward. I don't think there's going to be a lot of capital expenditure associated with that if we are able to produce a sort of product like that. I mean, 1,800 a ton, that was FOB at Dar es Salaam. That's what you're getting for your medium-sized flakes after your flotation processes and all your costs associated with that, I think. So, this Nyorinyori's got some great potential, but clearly we've got the work to do on it, and we're going to do it. We're going to push ahead on that. We have MSA on site today doing their review work for us, as well as part of the competent persons report. Bagamoyo, again, we're moving to the phase 2. So the phase 1 work, we put out the results of that, which identified 2 quite significant graphite bodies there. There's further trench work and drilling work that's going to commence on that in the next quarter. And with operations operated by the Chinese very close to those assets. So, and of course, you've got a number of other UK AIM-listed companies and ASX-listed companies doing a lot of work there on their graphite projects in the same region. Bagamoyo, we're very pleased with, and particularly with our local partners, Kinusi Gateway. And we had geologists on site yesterday. The Takela guys were on site yesterday, so it was a bit of a love fest. There's a lot of cooperation we have in Tanzania between all our partners, which is really good. It's a great environment to work in. So, Bagamoyo, we'll move to that phase 2 drilling, resource drilling work, and look to see how quickly we can move that to a development situation as well.
Excellent. Well, thank you. That's a very good comprehensive overview. So really, Blesberg, you've got, you're going to start processing those stockpiles and get up fairly soon, really, and then look to get into some of the hard rock there. At Kinusi, getting a plant in place this summer. So plenty of activity going on and the sort of getting into production. And then the other 2 projects there's the exploration, or the proving up of what you have there and then deciding on that next stage. So I guess it's going to be a fairly busy summer, Jason.
Yeah, no time to come to England to watch the Ashes, I'm afraid.
Sorry.
I'm sorry about that. No, it's going to be very busy. And, we'll be updating our investors and shareholders shortly on the expanded management team that we're putting in place to be able to deliver on this.
Good.
We'll also be showing how that relationship with Q Global Commodities is going to assist us to basically deliver on getting these projects into production. So that's, that we need to demonstrate our ability to do that. I don't want people to think that we're too stretched, but we have a very good team here, which is growing all the time. So we've got to get a bit of an update out on that.
Okay.
And also just confirming our funding status through that Q Global Commodities relationship there. The various tranches of funding which come to fund the drilling at Blesberg, fund the drilling at Nyorinyori and Bagamoyo, at Kinusi. We're not constrained. We're not having to look over our shoulder like many junior mining companies thinking, right, damn, where are we going to get our next bit of money from? We've got it already effectively in the bank. And once we make a decision to do the resource drilling, we draw down on that and so on. Okay. So it's a very good position to be in. And I think already the fact that we got those brand new bits of gear up at Blesberg so quickly, when the waiting times for equipment like that is quite significant, getting that stuff up to site really helps massively. So, I think summer's going to be a busy one, but the rest of this year is going to be damn busy too.
Good. Well, I look forward to seeing that news on that. It'd be nice to do a bit of a chat with you and someone from Q Global, just, to give people an idea of the relationship there. Just finally, Jason, on the AIM listing, anything you can share on the developments here?
Yeah, look, one of the big lead time items on that is the competent persons report, the technical review of our assets. Blesberg's been done. Kinusi's been done. We've got the guys from MSA on site. We've got the old haggard geologist on site in Tanzania at our graphite projects at the moment. He's certainly enjoying it there and enjoying what he's seeing. So that competent persons report is the real last thing to be included in that listing document. We're busy finalizing our audited accounts. Clearly, they flow into that submission. And the reporting accountants just going through our working capital position, which really is not an issue, but we have to go through that process. ENS, the lawyers out of South Africa, completing their final reviews on the legal title, security of tenure, and so on. So that's ongoing. So we're expecting that draft report very soon. So look, as soon as the accounts are done, as soon as the CPR is done, that submission is there for our advisors. Ken are our advisors and are going to be our nomad on AIM. So, we've just got to turn it around quickly. I've said it before, it's like herding cats. I like to think we at Marula, we move at a fairly good pace. And we more often than not, we find ourselves dragging people along with us to keep up. We're pushing everybody. So I'm hoping towards the end of June we'll be listed. I was hoping we'd be there now. It's frustrating not to be, I'll tell you. But it's not an if, it's just a when.
Yeah.
But clearly when that happens is when our shares get more visibility. Investors find it easier to invest and trade the stock. And I think being on that AIM platform as opposed to our Aquis platform gives investors a bit more confidence as well.
Yeah.
Sure. I'm not being disrespectful. This platform and market, AIM being a much more established and recognized market just helps us there.
Yeah. Okay. Well, good luck with that. Hopefully it happens in the timeline that you're all pushing for. But thank you very much for that very comprehensive update today, Jason Brewer, the CEO of Marula Mining.
Thanks very much, Mark. Always appreciate it.
If you enjoyed this interview, then give us a thumbs up, a like or a retweet. Subscribe to us on YouTube or follow us on Twitter and hit that notification bell to be the first to know when we release new content. There's loads of great content on our website too, across all our programs at stockboxmedia.com. Thank you for watching.